Have you ever watched your horse swish its tail all evening, again and again, for hours? Most owners shrug it off. Flies are annoying, horses deal with it. But that nonstop movement is a real stress response. Cortisol rises, heart rate climbs, and it's tangled up with something that has nothing to do with the bites themselves. It's why a focused horse can suddenly lose concentration mid-ride. In the more serious cases, it's been linked to horses collapsing while standing completely still. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what's happening inside your horse, and what actually gives it back real rest. Today we are talking about the real cost of fly stress. Here's the surprising part. Those fly avoidance behaviors aren't just discomfort, they're a real measurable stress response. But the bites aren't actually the expensive part. The real cost shows up somewhere you'd never think to look, in how or whether your horse actually sleeps that night. And once you understand that connection, you'll never write off a tail-swishing evening as just flies again. Start with what you're actually watching. A horse under fly pressure runs through a fixed sequence. First, the skin twitches, a reflex called the paniculus reflex. Then the tail starts switching, then stomping, then head tossing, and if none of that works, full body movement to escape the area entirely. Each step in that sequence costs energy and attention. Repeated all day, every day, it adds up to something measurable. In horses wearing protective fly sheets, researchers recorded fewer defensive movements, but also a rise in heart rate right alongside it. That's not a contradiction. It confirms the underlying state, protected or not, is genuine physiological stress, not simple annoyance. Similar patterns show up in cattle research. As biting fly numbers rise, so does circulating cortisol. Some of the worst offenders aren't even the flies you can easily see. Calicoides midges, the insects behind sweet itch, are most active at dawn and dusk, exactly when most horses are turned out. For horses with a genuine allergy to their bites, insect bite hypersensitivity, this isn't background noise at all. Now here's where it gets interesting, and where the real cost hides. Every horse has a hard biological requirement: real REM sleep every single day. And REM sleep only happens fully lying down, muscles completely relaxed. Horses can get by standing for lighter sleep stages. Their stay apparatus locks the legs in place without much effort. But REM sleep needs the whole body to let go, something the brain only allows when it feels genuinely safe. Sustained vigilance is one of the best documented reasons a horse won't lie down fully. And unresolved stress is exactly the kind of vigilance that keeps a nervous system on alert, long after the flies themselves are gone. Horses can cope with a few rough nights, but researchers following horses over a week or two of restricted lying time found something specific: a jump in accidental collapses. Not from illness, from the brain slipping into REM sleep while the horse is still standing. That's the real cost sitting underneath a tail-swishing summer evening, not the itch. The rest your horse never fully gets. So what actually helps beyond a bottle of spray? Timing matters more than most owners expect. Culicoids peak at dawn and dusk. Shift turnout away from those windows. Shelter matters too. A dim, breezy stable gives flies fewer places to land, and your horse somewhere to actually settle. Fly sheets and masks help. Just watch the trade-off. Protected horses still showed a higher heart rate and more heat load. Pair sheets with shade and airflow. Not as a replacement for them. But the piece owners miss most is safety, not gear. A horse that doesn't feel secure won't lie down fully, no matter how good the protection is. Watch for whether your horse is actually lying flat, not just standing quietly. One simple check. Look at your horse's coat in the morning. Dust or shaving marks on the hip or shoulder are a good sign. A perfectly clean coat, day after day, is worth paying attention to. A few things worth holding on to here. Not every restless or tired horse is dealing with fly stress. Pain, herd conflict, and unfamiliar surroundings can all keep a horse from lying down. Some horses carry a genuine allergy to culicoids bites, insect bite hypersensitivity, and that's a dermatology issue worth a vet's input. And to be clear, most fly-stressed horses never reach the point of a standing collapse. That's the far end of a spectrum, not the typical outcome. The everyday cost is quieter, a horse that's a little more tired, a little less settled all summer long. There's one more layer to this, and it has nothing to do with location, turnout time, or bad luck. It comes down to coat color. Tabanid flies, the horseflies driving so much of the behavior we just covered, don't just spot a dark horse more easily. They're physically drawn toward it. Female horseflies hunt using polarized light. In nature, strongly polarized light almost always means one thing: open water, the place where they lay their eggs. A shiny, dark coat reflects light in almost exactly that same pattern. To a horsefly's eyes, a black or dark bay horse can read like the surface of a pond. A white coat scatters that same light in every direction instead of one strong, uniform plane. Researchers call this depolarizing, and it's measurably less attractive to host-seeking flies. This has been directly tested in horses, not just assumed. It's the same underlying principle behind zebra stripes. In field experiments, striped coverings didn't stop flies from approaching a horse at a distance, but the flies couldn't slow down and land properly once they got close. The broken-up pattern confuses their approach right at the last moment. There's a second reason a dark coat may draw more bites, layered on top of the first. In direct summer sun, a dark coat simply runs hotter than a light one. The same research group found something striking using heated test surfaces. Flies that land on a warmer surface escape a horse's swat more often. Warmer muscles, faster reflexes, even in an insect. Their flight response simply works quicker once they've warmed up. That escape speed effect has been demonstrated using controlled thermal targets, not yet directly confirmed on grazing horses in the field. But it's reasonable to expect a hot, dark coat compounds the problem, not just drawing more landings, but letting more of them turn into a completed bite. Similar research in cattle backs up the underlying logic. White-coated cows carry measurably lower fly loads than black-coated cows of the same breed. That difference traces back to the same gene responsible for their coat color. A separate cattle study painted zebra-like stripes onto solid-colored cows and cut biting fly landings by roughly half. None of this is about location or bad luck. A solid, dark-coated horse can reasonably expect a heavier tabanid burden than a lighter paddock mate standing in the exact same field. It doesn't replace the shade, timing, and physical barriers already worth using. It's a reason to lean into them harder for darker horses. And it's a real case for choosing lighter or patterned fly sheets specifically for the darkest-coated horses in your care. So the next time you watch your horse swish its tail through a long summer evening, it's worth seeing differently. That's not wallpaper noise. That's a nervous system spending real resources night after night on something most of us walk straight past. I've watched horses swat flies my whole life. Now I don't think I'll ever see it as just flies again. If this changed how you look at an ordinary summer evening, subscribing is the best way to catch what we look at next. New videos on the real evidence-based side of horse care and behavior every week.